Reawaken to your immortal identity and discover life between life's wisdom. Presented by the Michael Newton Institute.
David Marsh is a producer and filmmaker with a passion for personal exploration. Last year, David produced a documentary that won 10 awards on the film festival circuit and details his time spent with the dive heart organization scuba diving with wheelchair users. He went on this trip just days after his son died from a drug overdose, and he learned that everyone in life is adapting to something. His film is called Adapting to Dive. His current project is a new documentary series called Journeys into the Soul. He is producing episodes in the US and Europe, detailing how hypnotherapy can be a modality for personal growth and helps people find meaning and purpose in their life. In this quest to understand his own purpose, he found the book Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. After more research, he also discovered Dolores Cannon and her work on quantum healing hypnosis technique. These two people impacted him so much that he became a hypnotherapy facilitator himself. However, that wasn't enough. He wanted other people to experience how a soul journey can help people to answer their deepest questions. So he created a docu-series where you get to watch actual sessions and see how powerful our subconscious mind is and how it can help us to find the answers we seek. David lives in Phoenix, Arizona, in the United States of America. Our guest today, David Marsh. Hi, everyone. We have a very special guest with us for this episode. And he's a very interesting individual who I did actually have the good fortune of connecting with virtually when when David actually met Diana, Sanella, and me, and we landed up discussing something very interesting about a film, a series that he's created. And David, a very warm welcome to the Michael Newton Institute's podcast series, the Wisdom series. So happy to have you here with us.
Oh, it's an honor. I am so excited. I love the Newton Institute, and it's great to be able to do something collaborative.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. David, I'm very interested to know, so you're a filmmaker, and
Yeah.
I was reading about not just the whole journey of souls that you filmed with some of our colleagues and some of the other therapists who are across the globe, but it's a lot more than that. You've done movies on scuba diving and so much more. We'd love to know when and where and how your journey began.
Well, I think when someone's a creative, you want to make things. And so early in my youth, I wanted to make things, specifically music, to do something creative. And my family, we had a Christian religious narrative. And our goal in life was to try to honor the divine. And we were told that we weren't worthy to be with the divine. So somebody somewhere had to do something to make us worthy. And then the Jesus narrative of he died for your sins and then you can be worthy was the narrative I was given. So instead of being free to be creative, I felt like I had to be somehow in service to something external outside of me so I could help other people and get them so that they could be worthy also. So a lot of my youth in my 20s, 30s, into my mid 40s was spent trying to be honorable to the divine because I felt like I was now worthy because I had accepted that pathway and, decided that that was my belief system. And then I wanted to help other people have that so they could be saved from impending doom. So that creative in me was somewhat stifled. And so I did some business. I got married at a very young age. When you have a girlfriend and you discover sexual intimacy, and you're like, oh, if I do this, then I might be doing a sin. I might be wrong. So you get married at a very young age, and you live in a narrative of making sure you're on the right path at all times. When I was 45 years old in 2015, I heard a podcast, and there was a man named Rob Bell. And on his podcast, he said, what if heaven and hell were not destinations? What if they were states of consciousness, and you can live in heaven or hell right here, right now? What if this life is where the action is? What if it's not about getting out of here and getting to there? What if it's about right here, right now? Because you came from there and you're going to live here, and then you go back to there. And what if there's really nothing to worry about? And I went, whoa, I never heard this at all. So I began a journey. And I believe that as soon as you start asking the question, why am I here? What's my purpose? You immediately began a spiritual journey. And that led me into discovering new things. I found a YouTube channel, and I got the audiobook of Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. And the first time ever, I heard the sentence, "We are all one." And I'm like, we are all one? What does that mean? I'd never heard that before. I was told I was a created being, and the divine had made me basically to worship and be in service of the divine. And when he said, no, we're all just making this reality, I was like, whoa, what is that? That led me into further discovery. I had a powerful plant medicine ayahuasca ceremony, and I received this information. I saw this vision, and the vision looked like it was in red neon writing, and it said, enjoy the ride. I was like, enjoy the ride? What does that mean? And I felt like I heard this feminine ayahuasca presence say to me, David, you're not enjoying the ride, but you're supposed to be enjoying the ride. Enjoy the ride. That's why you're here. And I go, well, I'm not enjoying the ride. And then in blue, I saw beliefs. I go, well, what does that mean? And I felt like this feminine presence said to me, your beliefs become real for you. And you've believed things that aren't allowing you to enjoy the ride. And I was like, oh, I got to find out more about this journey. And shortly thereafter, I met someone. I started a talk show called Exploring the Human Journey, so I could basically learn from people that knew things outside of my narrative. And a gentleman that was an acupuncturist, he said, Dave, you need to read the book Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. I'm like, oh, I got a hold of Journey of Souls. I read it and I went, okay, I got it. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. It's not about one lifetime and there's a judgment. It's about, what do you want to experience and explore and expand to have your soul be the fullest, well-rounded entity that it can be, so you can learn and grow. And it's really all about love. And that was the point in my life when I went, okay, I think I got it. And that was the shifting point.
Wow. Absolutely wow. And then so beautiful. Because I think the moment you connected to this understanding that you are, and we all are, here for a journey, we're supposed to enjoy this journey, we're having a beautiful earth experience, and you are in then a moment of celebration. So this heaven and hell being a state of mind, it's so true, because it's actually about our perceptions. Because I was speaking to a client of mine, and I said that when we talk about truth, it's perceived reality, what you perceived at that moment, what you're deriving from that particular moment, and then what you're creating out of it for yourself. So when you went through a shift, and that too as an adult, all your life you've probably searched for something. So you moved from something known, something very structured and defined, and now what you're in is this space where things are undefined. There are full of possibilities. You're probably experiencing different aspects of life as you speak and as you explore whatever you're exploring. And that just enriches your life so much. There's so much joy. I love the word enjoy, because there is so much for us to enjoy if we allow ourselves to be in that space of acceptance.
Yeah. It truly is accepting the idea that you're not a victim. And that's one thing I was given, was a victim narrative, that there's nothing I could do. I was just unworthy no matter what. I had this original sin, and no matter what, you can never be good enough to beat the divine. So you had to have somebody else do something for you. Whew, that's a powerful narrative. And that is hard to unwind. And in my journey, in my quest to seek truth, to seek meaning, I lost community. I was in, a church. I was in a church that all my friends said, "No, you're being deceived by the devil." I'm like, I don't even think there's this character of the devil. I think it's this ego construct, and and they would not have anything of it. I did lose community. I did lose family. I have family members that are deeply rooted in the mindset that, what I'm learning and experiencing is I'm being deceived and I'm wrong. And I'm like, okay, I still love you. So let's love each other where we can. And so we'll talk about events or the weather or whatever. But when you shift your mindset, you have the opportunity to go outside of this certainty that you've been given, and to get into creativity. Well, what can I create? What is possible? And that's when I started my journey in 2019 of producing content that was allowing me to be at my fulfillment of creativity. And I started working on docuseries. I went to LA. I worked with a friend, and we created events. We recorded them, and we had experiences, and we put them together in a way to help people. And I was like, wow, I still feel like I want to help people get saved from themselves. But now it's more like, how can I help someone experience, explore, and expand their mind to have more freedom, and let them know that you are good enough, you are worthy. There's nothing you need to do to be saved, because there's nothing to be saved from.
Exactly.
And that takes us down a whole bunch of other journeys of possibilities. But that's what I've been doing at this point for the last few years, is creating content now.
And I think the moment you said creating content, and then you're talking about expansion and the word freedom, if we just look at that, the most important thing is for us to first believe we are. You don't have to seek it. But the issue is, when you mention the word belief in your ayahuasca experience, aren't we, are all of us, I think it goes to each and every one of us, we're actually realigning our beliefs. We're redefining our beliefs as we are going forward in life. So when we look back at our 20s and 30s, it was a different experience. We had different sets of beliefs we lived with. And as we go on in life, we realize, okay, they don't work for us anymore. And that's where you are living in your integrity, because you realize that, no, if I have to be my authentic self, I'm sorry, but that belief doesn't work for me anymore. It could be something I probably picked up from our parents, sometimes from our grandparents, teachers, professors, spouses, whoever. You probably even took it up from your social cultural beliefs. You're one person who probably broke away from it, and there are so many of us. And then beliefs are something we're perpetually redefining as we go along.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of life, because I think anyone who's gone through a past life regression or a life between lives experience or a spiritual experience of any nature would have seen that one of the first things we start to redefine are our beliefs.
Yeah.
And that's actually where your expectations also go through a change, because your belief has changed. So it's so exciting when you think about it. And you're filming all of this. Tell me more about that. I'm like super excited to know about that.
The first thing when I
Did
started
you
this,
have any experience which was very fun?
yeah,
Sorry.
when I moved from the Northwest to Phoenix, Arizona in 2007, and someone gave me a video camera, and I was in a church system, and I was helping someone, and this lady said, "The Lord told me to give you this camera." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So whatever narrative that you're in, I still believe that you're guided, and I still believe that you're able to continue your spiritual journey. And so I was given a a video camera. I didn't know anything about video production. I had a friend that was a mentor. He showed me a bunch of things, and I realized, oh, this isn't like engineering. This is like creativity. And I really quickly gravitated to it. Sound and color and light and the music and the way you can create emotion with a narrative and a talking and an interview. And I started doing marketing to help businesses market their services and products. And at some point, I kind of got to where I was like, it's not that fulfillment of my creativity. And when I started, I shifted my mindset and I started saying, well, what can be created? And being drawn to this new journey, this exploring the human journey narrative that I was now in, I'm like, I got to find out more things about this. And I started interviewing people, and that's where the talk show came from. And I started getting really excited about that. And originally, the first thing that I had done during my deconstruction is I Googled, well, what happens after we die? Because I was given a narrative, have a judgment. If you're worthy, you go to heaven. If you're not, you go to hell. And I learned that there's a thing called a near-death experience, and I didn't know much about it. And millions of people have had an experience where their body ceases to function, their consciousness has an interaction, they come back to their life, hence a near-death experience. And there's, many things that occur there. Later, when I learned about hypnotherapy, it was the same thing. Now people are in a hypnotherapy session and they're having these experiences where their soul journey is going to the other side, having conversations with something conscious. They're seeing other lifetimes, they're seeing different dimensions, and they're receiving information that they're bringing back to them after this session is complete. And I'm like, wait, these two narratives are the same thing. And it's all about this journey of the soul. And at some point I decided, well, I'm done working on this docuseries with this person. We called it Soul Blaze Your Life. And we filmed a bunch of episodes and had wonderful experiences with tremendous thought leaders. And it was very nourishing, but I was like, okay, well, what is it my soul wants to experience? And I went on a scuba trip. I met some people. They work with people that have different levels of challenge. Some are wheelchair users, some are on the autism spectrum. And I said, well, maybe I can use my creativity to help other people, not in the spiritual realm, but kind of just on this journey through life. And in December of 2021, I was scheduled to go on this trip. 7 days before this trip, my 27-year-old son died of a drug overdose on Thanksgiving Day. And that shifted everything again. It was like, oh, and my wife and I decided that we were given this religious narrative. We decided to end our marriage agreement, still stay in support of one another, but to have different experiences because we felt our souls were wanting to have a different narrative rather than you must live together forever and ever. And for us, we're like, well, we wanted to have the freedom and liberty to have different experiences, and we wanted to support each other on this. So now we're going through a divorce. Our son dies, and I go on this trip. And I don't tell anybody about this trip and tell anybody about what's happening until the very last day, because I wanted to be in the moment. I wanted to experience, these people's journeys. What I learned from that is everybody's going through something. We're all having to adapt to something in life, whether you lose a son, whether you lose the mobility of your body through a spinal cord injury, and now you're a wheelchair user. And the most important thing all of these people said is it's important to enjoy your life. And I'm like, there it is again. You got to enjoy your life. And I think that's what it comes down to. Fast forward to about a year ago, I had this idea, well, I'm really interested in hypnotherapy. I'm really interested in this inner soul journey. Maybe I could film people having sessions. Diana and I had already worked together on an episode of Exploring the Human Journey. I reached out to her. I got to meet you and Sinha Kovic on a Zoom, and I was like, I got this idea. And you're like, hey, if you ever want to come to Dubai, let me know. I'm like, okay. And Sinha goes, if you ever want to come to Madrid, I'm like, okay. And then a year later, I find myself in Madrid working with Sinha, and someday I'll probably end up in Dubai with you. And I'm now creating this content that's on the journey of the soul. It's still the narrative in my personal journey of experiencing, exploring, why are we here? What's this about? And it's just endless and infinite. And I don't think there's a reason or a purpose or an ending to it. I think you're just here to experience and explore. And so that's the journey I'm on now. It's producing these episodes of this new show called Journeys into the Soul.
so grateful that you gave us your time and you've done this with us. And once again, I just want to say a huge thank you.
Awesome. Indrani, I can't wait till you and we create our own experience together. I'm looking forward to it.
I promise you.